All right, so that common question always comes up as to why are there so many balls released from these companies every single year? And honestly, there's a couple different answers to this question, but the easiest way to answer this, the least, or I'm sorry, the most simplest way to answer this is simply because people keep buying them. Like everybody wants the newest and greatest toy. Even with the economy the way it is, people still want to go out and buy these things. They look at it's like golf clubs. I bought a whole new set of golf clubs this year. I didn't need them, but I thought they'd make me better, and maybe they did. You know, I'm down to like a 7.4 handicap now, where I was probably a 10 or so before that. But that's the same thing in bowling. Like, you get the newest, greatest, biggest thing, and you think it can help your game. And for a lot of people, it's this eyesight. Like, they get so used to seeing something, and it gets boring. Like, oh, I get the same ball, I'm playing the same part of the lane, it's the same thing. And what's funny is they come into the shop and they're like, you know, I really like this ball, which is the ball they've been using for the last 2 years. And they're like, you know, I want another ball that'll be really similar to that. And it takes everything out of me to just not say, just drill another one of those. But they don't want another one of those. They want the newest ball that is close to that. So I'm constantly trying to figure out what bowling balls are similar to each other from a couple of years ago that we can drill today that we can make similar. It's a tough gig, man. It's not easy to do. But because there's so many people that still come in and want the newest and greatest thing, we sell them. So as people are still requesting them, manufacturers are going to keep making them. And to be fair, we've gone through a huge stretch of time now where technology has just grown. Like, cover stock technology has gotten better. Core technology's probably plateaued at this point. You know, it's not a whole lot more you can really do with core technology. But with new rule changes and everything, it could make it to where, like the no, weight hole rule made it to where you could make some changes to some cores, where it was almost necessary to make changes to cores because now people aren't going to be able to just put weight holes in them to change how the ball reacts. But with all the new technology, we've grown so much. The bowling balls just keep getting stronger. The cores just keep getting stronger. I think we're plateaued pretty much at, where we're at with cores. I'm not so sure you can get much stronger with cores. But yeah, I mean, you can only do so much, but because people are buying them, they keep coming out with them. And I think the companies are doing a pretty good job, varying colors, trying to make things look different. I would make the same argument with golf clubs. Like, is there really that much technology in those drive? And again, I don't know a whole lot about golf as far as the technology goes. I'm sure golfers will be like, oh, there's tons of technology, and this one's this different, this one's made out of this type of iron, and this one's made out of graphite, and this one, or whatever, all those different materials that, things are made out of. And yes, they all play a different role, but is there a huge difference? Like, I bought a brand new driver, the new AI Smoke this year, $600 driver. Am I hitting it further? Maybe, instead of the 265, 270, maybe I'm hitting it 275, 280 on my good shots, like when I'm actually hitting it well. Is it worth the $600? I don't know. I couldn't tell you, really. It didn't make much of a difference to me. So that's kind of the analogy there. Is it's like we got people that go out and they buy things because it's the newest and greatest thing, and yeah, maybe it is, and there are certain bowling balls that are definitely going to match up for people, and I think maybe that's what people get caught up in too. It's just like, oh, like for me, it was the IQ Tour. I had an IQ Tour back in 2014, 15 that I used on everything. It looked good no matter what pattern I was on. With some exceptions, but for the most part, if it was that range of patterns, I was using that ball, and that ball was used 99% of the event. And I've yet to be able to recreate that. There isn't a ball on the market today that I feel like is anything close to that IQ Tour that I had back then. I've drilled 3 or 4 IQ Tours since then, and because they've started putting stronger covers on them, they're not what they used to be. And it is what it is, and that's why I like the Phase 2 now, because now they put the new cover on the Phase 2, a little bit stronger. Now the Phase 2 actually comes into play for me. The weaker one was over under. The weaker one just didn't do the thing. Didn't hook in the right spots. It either went too far or hooked too early. There was no in between for me. So a lot of people are having that same type of feeling, and that's what you're looking for. It's the same thing when you're bowling on the lanes. You're like, okay, well, this is the day that I bowled the best, and this was the ball reaction I created. How do I recreate that every single time? That's what guys like EJ and Belmo and Tommy and all these guys out on tour, that's what they do the best, is they're able to recreate shapes. No matter what the pattern is, they know how to create the shapes that they know strikes the most. And they do it time after time after time. Whereas guys like me, we're still looking for what strikes the most out there. I've yet to figure out consistently what type of shape works for me to get the pins to fall consistently to be able to keep up with those higher scoring paces. You know, we could blame it on a lot of different things. Maybe I just suck. You know, it is what it is. You know, my best finish is second. Whoop-de-doo. Like, it's just not, maybe it's not in the cards for me to be a top touring national guy. Maybe I've always meant to be just the teacher because that is something I'm really good at, and I can explain things really well for the most part. That I've yet to come across something or a person that has not understood what I was saying. I've yet to have a student leave here upset and feel like they didn't learn something or didn't feel like they got better. You know, I've yet to run into those situations. So maybe it's just in the cards for me to be the teacher. You know, not so much the athlete itself, but maybe teach people how to be the athlete. The things that I'm not good at, I can teach. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I'm kind of rambling, but I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about that and see where everybody's head's at with these bowling balls and stuff. Do you feel like they come out with too many bowling balls? Is it too much to keep up with? I feel like for me it's too much to keep up with because I'm able to throw everything, and maybe that's one of my problems, is I'm not narrowing down my bowling balls enough to figure out exactly what I want in my bag. There's too many different balls with too many different choices, and I'm too busy trying to put the newer balls in my bags because I feel like if I'm throwing them and I do well with them, then they'll sell type of thing, you know. Maybe that's a problem for me. Maybe I just need to really focus in on some bowling balls and figure out exactly a core 8 bowling balls that I'm going to take with me everywhere. And if they don't work, they just don't work. Like maybe then I just need some specialty bowling balls to go, but I don't need to keep like mixing and matching all these balls all the time. I think it's just confusing me on which ball goes where, because when you get into your progressions and you're like, okay, well, I should be able to go from this slower ball to this ball that's just a little bit quicker, and then all of a sudden that ball is not nearly as quick as what you thought it was, and now it's responding even slower than that ball was. It's like, well, what the hell was that? Well, it's because you don't have enough experience or time with these bowling balls on multiple patterns, and you haven't built a core group in your bag to be able to say, okay, I know exactly what's going on. Like, that's one thing I give Cody a lot of credit for, is he had his core 4 or 5 bowling balls that he pretty much uses everywhere. You know, between his that phase 2 that he has, his red ball, the attention star, he's got a gem that he uses everywhere, or a magic gem. Now, I mean, it's going to be a little bit different now because he's no longer on Storm staff, so he's just drilled a bunch of new bowling balls that he'll be throwing at the regional and Fishers pretty soon. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's so much going on with bowling balls and technology and everything like that we could talk about it for days, for hours, for years, for centuries. We could talk about this stuff. So it's kind of cool, it's kind of good, but kind of bad at the same time. Let me know in the comments below what you think. And hey, if you guys haven't subscribed yet, please make sure to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost a thing. There's nothing in it. Head over to easybowlingstats.com. Sign up for the new app over there. You can just get the free app. I fully recommend that you get the premium version so you get access to everything, but you don't have to do that. You can just do the free app and just use it. Just give us some feedback on it and all that good stuff. But I'm getting out of here. I've rambled long enough. So we'll talk to you guys later. Take care.